I'm not the kind of person who puts their life online, but something broke in me this week. I can't keep holding it in anymore. My name is Elise. I'm 29 years old and I live on the edge of Portland in a small 2-bedroom rental with my mom, Carol, and my younger brother, Zach. Well, lived. That part's already starting to change. I've worked the same job at a diagnostic lab since I was 23. It's not glamorous, but it's steady and I've kept us afloat. My mom's been out of work since her back surgery 5 years ago, and Zach's been on a self-made investor kick since he dropped out of college. That's a fancy way of saying he sits at home all day and pretends to trade crypto while blowing through other people's money. I didn't mind picking up the slack, at least not at first. I thought I was helping my family. But this week I found out just how little that actually meant to them. It started Monday morning. I woke up to an empty living room, which was already weird, because Ranger, my dog, always greeted me by scratching the door or nudging his nose into my hand the moment I stepped out of bed. He's been with me since college. Rescued him when he was just a pup. He's family. The only soul in that house who never asked for anything but love. But that morning, no tail thumping, no paws, no dog. I called his name. I checked the backyard. Nothing. I figured maybe Mom had let him out early or Zach took him for a walk, though that'd be a first. When they both came back that afternoon, I asked where he was. My mom shrugged. Zach didn't even look up from his phone. I let him go, he said flatly. I blinked. What? He finally looked at me. I needed cash. Found this guy on Craigslist who buys purebreds. Said he'd take good care of him. I didn't say anything right away. I couldn't. I just stared at him. I felt something rip inside my chest like a zipper being yanked too hard and snapping straight through the fabric. He's not yours to sell, I finally said, my voice shaking. Zach scoffed. He lived in our house. Everything in here is shared, right? That's what you always say when you want help paying bills. Before I could even reply, my mom chimed in from the kitchen. Don't start drama, Elise. He's your brother. He was just trying to fix a mistake. A mistake? He sold my dog. My voice cracked, louder than I meant. I hadn't yelled in years, not even when Zach wrecked my old laptop or when Mom borrowed my savings to pay off a dentist bill she never told me about. Zach stood up. Well, if you'd just help him more, Mom said, he wouldn't have to make these kinds of decisions. I turned to her, stunned. I have been helping. I pay the rent. I pay your medical bills. I put groceries in this house. But I guess that doesn't count for anything unless I'm bleeding dry for your golden boy. There was silence. Thick, ugly. Zach rolled his eyes and walked out like none of it mattered. And my mother, just kept washing dishes. That night I sat on my bed, staring at Ranger's empty food bowl. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went quiet, cold, like a storm was building and I didn't even realize I was standing in the middle of it. I opened Zach's old laptop, the one he left lying around when he got a new one with money he earned. I checked his browsing history. It didn't take long to find the Craigslist thread. There it was. Purebred retriever, rehomed for $800. My dog, gone for a week's worth of delivery food and sports bets. I looked closer. The buyer had used a pickup address near the old bus station downtown. But when I tried to call the number Zach gave him, it was already disconnected. The next morning, I took the day off work. I went looking. And when I finally found the address tied to the Craigslist contact, the apartment was empty. Vacant. Ranger was gone. Just like that. But that wasn't the end of it. Because when I got home that evening, my savings account had a pending transfer I didn't authorize. $612 moved to a crypto wallet I didn't recognize. And the name on the login history? Zach. When I saw Zach's name listed in the login activity on my savings account, I didn't even feel surprise. Just a kind of slow, crushing numbness. Like I'd walked into a fire and only just realized my skin was burning. $612. That's what he took. Not the full balance, but enough. Enough to leave a scar. enough to make it clear this wasn't a mistake. I sat there in the dark, staring at my phone screen, my breathing shallow and shaky. Then I got up, walked downstairs, and found him on the couch playing Xbox, like nothing had happened. I stood there, quiet, watching the colors flash across his face. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice level. "You moved money out of my account?" He didn't pause the game. "So what?" I blinked. "So what?" He finally turned his head toward me, eyes glazed over like I was being unreasonable. "You've got plenty, Elise. It was just 600. I'll pay you back." "No," I said, stepping closer. "You won't, because this isn't the first time, is it?" His silence answered for him. "I've paid for your credit cards. I've covered rent when Mom said her disability check was late. I've bought groceries, fixed the car, paid the gas bill, the internet, everything. And you—" I laughed, bitter and short. "You sell my dog like he's junk and then you steal from me?" He scoffed. "You're so dramatic." That was when Mom came in, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "What's going on?" I looked at her. "Zach stole from me. From my savings, Mom's face didn't change. Not the way it should have. Not shock. Not outrage. Instead, she said, he was just trying to help out with bills. I asked him to look into ways we could manage better." I stared at her. "You knew?" She didn't answer. Just looked at me like I was causing a scene in her living room. That was the moment it truly hit me. They didn't see me as family anymore. Not as a daughter, not even as a person. I was a source, a pipeline, a damn vending machine. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I just turned and walked upstairs, hands trembling. The next day, I called out sick from work. Not because I was ill, because I couldn't walk into a lab and process other people's blood samples when mine was boiling. I spent the morning combing through every account I had. Utilities, subscriptions, bank apps, even the shared Amazon. Everywhere my name or card showed up, I wrote it down. Then I grabbed a hoodie, drove to the credit union, and sat across from the same teller who helped me open my account years ago. "I need to protect my money," I said. She nodded. "What's going on?" I looked her straight in the eye. "My family is bleeding me dry. I need to close this account and open a new one, with no linked cards, no shared access, and no statements going to my old address." She didn't blink, just started typing. By the end of the day, I had new cards, new passwords, and full control of every account that had once been tangled up in that house. I went home, said nothing, made dinner for myself, and locked my door. That night, the house lost power. At first, I thought it was an outage. I went to the window, checked the neighbors. Their porch lights were still on. I smiled. Then I heard the footsteps. Zach stomping through the hallway, slamming the door to Mom's room. "You didn't pay the fucking bill again?" "I thought Elise would—" He kicked something. I heard it hit the wall. And for the first time in a long time, I felt calm. I pulled my blanket tighter around my shoulders, sat at my desk in the dark, and wrote down the date. The day I stopped paying for people who never paid me back. But the calm didn't last long. The next morning, I got a text from a coworker I barely talked to. "Hey, Elise, are you okay? HR said someone tried to reset your employee login last night." My stomach dropped. I hadn't touched my work login in over 24 hours. I checked my inbox. Sure enough, there it was. Failed password reset. 2:11 a.m. IP address local network. My house. Zach had tried to get into my work account. I looked at the time. I looked at the hallway outside my room. He was still asleep. I stepped quietly past his door, grabbed my keys, and walked out without a word. Because the next move would be mine. After the work login incident, something snapped in me. I didn't say anything to Zach that morning. Didn't confront him. What was the point? He'd deny it, like always. Maybe twist it into a joke or worse. Make it sound like I was paranoid. So I did what I've learned to do best in that house. I shut up and paid attention. That night, after Mom went to bed and Zach passed out on the couch with the TV still blaring some late-night poker stream, I sat in the kitchen with my laptop. The blue glow from the screen lit up the sink full of dirty dishes and the pile of unopened bills stacked by the toaster. I pulled up every account tied to me: electric, water, internet, Hulu, Amazon, even Mom's prescription plan. And one by one, I removed my name, my card, my access. No announcements, no warnings, just silence. Because they never heard me when I spoke. Maybe they'd finally hear me when I disappeared. By midnight, everything was done. Every bill now read, payment due, no card on file. I leaned back in the chair and stared at the ceiling fan spinning above me. I thought I'd feel guilt, regret, something. But all I felt was stillness, the kind of quiet that creeps in right after a hurricane passes and you realize your house might still be standing. The next morning, I left early for work. Didn't leave a note. Didn't make coffee. Didn't remind anyone that the rent was due in 5 days. Around 10 a.m., I got the first text from Mom. "Elise, the internet's not working. Can you look into it?" Then Zach, "The F is up with the Wi-Fi?" "My trades aren't loading." I didn't respond. By 4 p.m., Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. By 6, the electricity went out. That's when the real chaos started. I sat in the break room at work, scrolling through my phone while eating a cold sandwich, when my screen lit up with a string of missed calls. Mom, Zach, Mom again. Then another number I didn't recognize. And then the texts. "You left us in the dark? We can't cook. We can't charge our phones. What the hell is wrong with you? Your mother's crying." That one made me pause. Not because I believed it, but because it used to work. The guilt card. The "look what you've done to us" tone. It used to eat me alive. Now? It just made me tired. I turned off my phone for the night. When I walked into the house the next morning, it was like stepping into a freezer. Not just cold. Dead. No lights, no music. Just the sound of Zach slamming cabinet doors and Mom pacing barefoot in the kitchen. They didn't see me at first. I watched as they argued in circles. "You said she paid it." "She always pays it." "Well, she stopped. What are we supposed to do now?" That was my cue. I cleared my throat. They turned, startled. "I'm not paying for any of it anymore," I said simply. Mom's eyes widened. "You can't be serious." "I'm not doing this anymore," I repeated. "You stole from me. You sold Ranger. You invaded my privacy. And now you're mad that I've stopped funding your lifestyle?" Zach threw his arms up. "Oh my God, you're so dramatic. You're acting like we robbed you." "You did," I snapped. He laughed. "Wow, so this is your revenge? You're gonna starve your own mother just to make a point?" Mom stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Elise, honey, you're breaking this family." "No," I said, calm as stone. "This family broke itself the moment it decided I was only worth what I could pay for." I turned to leave, and then I saw it. On the hallway table next to Mom's purse was my credit card, the one I'd canceled 2 weeks ago. Except this one looked new. I picked it up. It was in my name. I flipped it over. There it was. A fresh signature I hadn't written. My chest went cold. "Where did this come from?" I asked, holding it up. No answer. "Mom?" She froze. Zach scoffed and walked into the living room like it wasn't his problem. I pulled up my phone, opened the bank app, and checked the history. 2 online purchases, both from last night. One was a food delivery. The other was a $200 cash transfer. To Zach. I looked up, my voice dead quiet. "You opened a new card. In my name." My mother's lips parted, but no words came out. The only thing I heard was Zach's voice from the couch. "You really shouldn't have left your old paperwork lying around, sis." I stared at that credit card like it was a loaded weapon. My name on it. A forged signature on the back. And the casual smugness in Zach's voice echoing from the living room. That was the moment something inside me snapped clean. No more crying. No more disbelief. Just this icy, surgical focus I didn't even know I had. I slid the card into my pocket, looked at Mom, who still hadn't said a word, and turned around without another sound. I walked upstairs, shut my bedroom door, and opened my laptop. I started filing. First, I logged into the bank and printed the fraudulent charges. I took screenshots of everything: the card application date, IP address, shipping confirmation to our house. Then I pulled up the police department's website and filed an official fraud report. I attached every single document I had, even included photos of my original signature and the forged one on the back of the card. It was easier than I thought. I always assumed reporting your own family would feel dirty, but it didn't. It felt necessary, like resetting a broken bone. After I hit submit, I leaned back and stared at the ceiling. I had just turned the tables. I wasn't the one being watched anymore. I was the one watching. The next morning, while they slept, I packed everything important into 2 duffel bags: birth certificate, laptop, backup hard drive, the last few photos of Ranger, and the watch my dad gave me when I turned 18. But when I reached into the drawer where I always kept it was gone. Gone. I tore the room apart. Every drawer, every old hoodie pocket, even the shoeboxes in the closet. Nothing. I stormed downstairs. Zach was at the kitchen table, eating cereal like a man who hadn't committed multiple crimes in 2 weeks. "Where's the watch?" I asked. He didn't even look up. "What watch?" "You know damn well which one." He shrugged, sipping the milk from his bowl. "Maybe you lost it. Or maybe it got sold. Who knows?" I froze. My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. "I swear to God." "You gonna hit me now?" He smirked. "Go ahead. Add a salt to your resume." That's when Mom walked in, bathrobe dragging, eyes red from who knows what. "Elise," she started, "whatever you're mad about, did you sell Dad's watch?" Her silence answered for her. I turned, grabbed my bag, and headed straight for the door. "Elise, wait." Mom called after me. I didn't stop. Didn't even flinch. "I'm not staying in a house where stealing from your own kid is just Tuesday," I said, slamming the door behind me. I drove to Rita's place, my coworker who'd always said, "If you ever need a couch." I never thought I'd take her up on it. But I did. She opened the door, no questions asked, just handed me a cup of coffee and a blanket. That night, I filed a civil restraining order against both of them. Not because I thought it would stop them, but because I wanted them to know I wasn't scared anymore. The next morning, I woke up to an email from the bank. Attempted access from new device, blocked. Then a second notification. Password reset request failed, locked for 24 hours. I laughed, out loud. In the middle of Rita's kitchen, they were scrambling, desperate, clawing at the walls now that the ATM had stopped working. But the real twist came 3 days later. I got a call from the police. "Miss Owens?" "Yes." "This is Officer Jarrett. We've received your fraud report and conducted a brief investigation. Based on evidence submitted and interviews conducted, we need you to confirm, did your mother open this credit card application herself? Or could someone else in the household have done it?" I blinked. "Why?" "Because the application was processed using a scanned image of your driver's license and a forged utility bill. The signature matched previous bank forms, but we cross-checked the IP address used to apply for the card, and..." There was a pause. "It was submitted from the public library. Security footage shows a woman matching Carol Owens' description at the computer during the exact time I felt my throat close. Mom, not Zach. It wasn't his plan. It was hers. The whole time I thought Zach was the mastermind, the one bleeding me dry. But no, he was just the knife. She was the hand holding it. When I hung up with Officer Jarrett, I sat in Rita's kitchen for what felt like an hour. I didn't move. Didn't blink. Just let the truth sink in like acid through fabric. My mom, Carol Owens, had walked into a public library, scanned my ID, faked a bill, and signed my name to open a credit card she never had any intention of paying back. It wasn't just about money anymore. It wasn't even about the dog or the watch. It was about betrayal. The kind that doesn't come from strangers, but from people who once kissed your forehead goodnight. That same day, the police called her in for questioning. I didn't go. I didn't need to. I already knew how she'd react. She'd act shocked, hurt, maybe cry, maybe blame Zach. She was good at playing victim, decades of practice. But it didn't matter this time, because the evidence didn't care about tears. A week later, I was called to give a formal statement. Officer Jarrett slid a folder across the table. Inside were printed screenshots, camera stills from the library, the card application, and a list of charges. She'd used the card to pay an overdue phone bill, order takeout, and transfer money to a Venmo account that, surprise, was linked to Zach's name. They were both in on it. But she was the one who orchestrated it. I walked out of the station into cold October air, clutching the report like a passport out of hell. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I smiled. 2 weeks later, I received notice that the DA had chosen to press charges for identity theft and credit fraud. Nonviolent, but still criminal. It would be a court case. Her name, on paper, in records, on file. Her reputation, the one she cared so much about in our church group and neighborhood, it cracked like thin glass. News traveled fast. People whispered. Old friends stopped visiting. The library banned her for life. Her application for rental assistance got flagged. Even the food pantry at the community center told her to find another sponsor. Zach disappeared. Blocked me on everything. But I wasn't looking for him anyway. In the middle of all this, I got a call. A soft voice on the line. Hi, is this Elise Owens? We think we might have your dog. I almost dropped the phone. It was a local vet clinic, just a few neighborhoods over. Someone had brought in a stray retriever with a microchip that hadn't been updated. When they scanned it, my name came up. Ranger had been found. Underweight, dirty, but alive, wandering near an industrial park on the outskirts of town. When I walked into the exam room and he saw me, he let out this low, broken whimper that shattered every wall I'd built in the last few months. He limped straight into my arms. And I broke down, sobbing into his fur like it was the first real breath I'd taken in years. They lost everything, and I found everything I had almost given up on. It's been 6 months. The court found her guilty. 1 year probation, mandatory financial restitution, and community service. No jail, she pleaded out. But the damage is done. She's officially labeled. Her face dropped when she saw me in the courtroom. Not angry, just empty. Like she finally understood I wasn't her safety net anymore. I never looked back. Now I live in a quiet apartment with Ranger at my feet, a new bank account with no shared access, and a peace that doesn't ask me to sacrifice myself to keep it. Sometimes the hardest revenge isn't screaming or punishing someone. It's living well without them. It's walking away so far they can't even see your silhouette anymore. If you've ever had to rebuild yourself after being betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, you're not alone. Tell me your story in the comments. Only if you feel ready. And if you want to hear more stories like this, I'll be here. Quiet, honest, and real. Just like this one.